Welcome to Southwest Desert, where adventure meets the arid beauty of the American Southwest. Join us as we explore the rugged landscapes, uncover hidden historical gems, and dive deep into the rich legends and culture of this iconic region. Subscribe now and hit the bell icon so you don't miss out on our latest desert adventures. Please leave a like or comment. This is very helpful. Let's journey together into the heart of the Southwest Desert. Picture yourself in the American West of the 1820s. The Rocky Mountains loom before you, their peaks shrouded in mystery. Rivers teeming with beaver wind through valleys unexplored by any European. And somewhere in those mountains, a remarkable French-Canadian named Etienne Provost is about to make history. Welcome to Southwest Desert. I'm your host, Alan, and today we're diving into the extraordinary life of a man nicknamed l'homme des montagnes, the man of the mountains. A figure whose legacy lives on in the landscape itself, yet whose story has largely faded into the mists of time. The year is 1785, and in the bustling port city of Quebec, a child is born who would one day become one of the most influential mountain men of the American West. Etienne Provost entered a world on the cusp of change, as the young United States was just beginning to look westward with hungry eyes. But before we follow Provost into those mountains, let's fast forward a few decades to paint you a picture of our protagonist in his prime. The 1830s descriptions of Provost are nothing short of colorful. Picture, if you will, a man with, and I quote, a corpus as round as a porpoise. This burly mountain man, with his ruddy face and robust figure, was often compared to a French merchantman's mate, or even Bacchus himself, the ancient god of wine and revelry. But don't let that jovial description fool you. Beneath that rotund exterior beat the heart of one of the most capable and daring explorers of his age. As Bartholomew Berthold would later describe him, Provost was the soul of the hunters of the mountains. The story of Provost's journey into legend begins in 1815, when he joined the Château de Moon Company on his first mountain expedition. Imagine, if you will, a group of nearly 50 engagees, hired hands, pushing into territory that no American had ever mapped. Their base camp was established at the mouth of the Huerfano River, where it meets the Arkansas. But it was what lay beyond that would cement Provost's place in history. Thank you for joining your desert frontiersman Alan for another Southwest adventure. If you would like to help support my time and channel, hit the super thanks heart icon on the bottom of the video and contribute. This is very helpful. Relax and enjoy. This expedition would achieve something remarkable. They became the first known Americans to explore what we now call South Park, Colorado. If you're picturing the cartoon, think again. This high-altitude valley, known to the French as Bayou Salado, was a pristine wilderness that would have taken their breath away, quite literally, given the altitude. They pushed on to explore North Park, the source of the North Platte River, though the rugged ranges of the Continental Divide proved too formidable to reach Middle Park. But here's where our story takes a dark turn. You see, all this exploration was happening in Spanish territory, and the Spanish authorities were, shall we say, less than thrilled about these American interlopers. The consequences were severe. The Château de Moon group found themselves stripped of property valued at over $30,000, an enormous sum for the time. Worse still, they spent 48 grueling days in what were described as the dungeons of Santa Fe. The Spanish officials were sending a clear message. American explorers were not welcome. But history, as it often does, had other plans. In 1821, Mexico won its independence from Spain, and suddenly the game changed entirely. The new Mexican citizens welcomed American traders with open arms, though there was still a catch. Trapping regulations remained strict. This is where Provost showed his true genius. He adapted to the new reality, setting up a partnership with François Leclerc in Taos in 1822. By 1824, his operations had grown impressively. Picture a camp of 80 men, their base established near the White River mouth, all working under the leadership of our rotund hero. But it's 1824 that brings us to perhaps the most harrowing chapter in Provost's story. Leading a party of 10 men westward over the Wasatch Range, they encountered a group of Shoshone. What seemed at first to be a peaceful meeting, they were invited to smoke the peace pipe, turned into a clever trap. The Shoshone asked them to remove all metal objects for the ceremony, a request that would prove fatal for most of the party. What followed was an ambush that left 8 men dead. Only Provost and one other managed to escape with their lives. Yet even this near-death experience couldn't keep Provost from making history. During this ill-fated expedition, he may have become the first white man to see the Great Salt Lake, a legacy that lives on today in the names of Provo City and the Provo River in Utah. But perhaps the most fascinating chapter in Provost's story comes in 1825, when he found himself at the center of an international incident that would help shape the American West. It's May 23, 1825, and Provost's diverse company, a fascinating mix of French Canadians, Spaniards, Iroquois deserters, and even Russians, comes face to face with the Hudson's Bay Company, led by Peter Skene Ogden. The British company had been following a scorched earth policy, trying to create a beaver-free buffer zone to discourage American expansion. Enter Johnson Gardner, who accused the British of trespassing and then made them an offer they couldn't refuse: $3.50 per pound for beaver pelts, significantly more than they were getting from the Hudson's Bay Company. He also promised supplies at lower prices. The result? 23 men deserted the British company on the spot, forcing them to retreat. This confrontation would have lasting implications for the American presence in the West. But perhaps Provost's most significant contribution to Western history came later that same year, when he participated in the first ever General Rendezvous organized by William Ashley. Imagine the scene at Henry's Fork. 120 people gathered for a one-day trading extravaganza that would change the fur trade forever. On July 1, 1825, Provost sold 153 pounds of beaver at $2.50 per pound. The total collection that day was staggering: 8,829 pounds of beaver, worth between $40,000 and $50,000 in St. Louis. But more than the money, this rendezvous established a new way of doing business in the mountains. It created a system of year-round mountain trapping supported by annual supply caravans, shifting the profit center from the trappers to the supplier buyers. The needs of these mountain men were diverse, from basic supplies like traps, powder, and lead, to consumables like coffee, sugar, and tobacco, to trade goods for Native Americans including ribbons, bells, and beads. This system would define the fur trade for decades to come. Provost would continue in the fur trade for another 2 decades, eventually shifting his base from Taos to the Missouri River. When he died, approximately 25 years after that first historic rendezvous, his funeral was held in the St. Louis Cathedral, a fitting tribute to a man who had helped shape the American West. As we look back on Provost's life, what emerges is a portrait of a man who was both larger than life and deeply human, a man whose physical appearance might have invited jokes, but whose capabilities commanded respect, a survivor who faced death in the mountains and emerged to help forge a new chapter in American history. His legacy lives on not just in the places that bear his name, Provo City and the Provo River, but in the very shape of the American West. He was one of those remarkable individuals who didn't just witness history, but helped write it: one mountain pass, one trading post, one beaver pelt at a time. The next time you find yourself in Utah, looking out over the Great Salt Lake or standing on the banks of the Provo River, spare a thought for that rotund French-Canadian who first gazed upon these landscapes 2 centuries ago. L'homme des montagnes, the man of the mountains, Etienne Provost. This has been Southwest Desert. Until next time, remember that history isn't just about the famous names in textbooks. Sometimes it's about the forgotten figures who blazed the trails that others would follow. Check out my large Southwest video and playlist catalog on historical tales and characters, lost gold legends, and adult bedtime stories. Happy trails! Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more great content. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. See you in the next video.